Yeah, thank you so much, Shandimna, for the great words. I hope I can live up to it today when we're going to talk about the metaverse and digital twin, two of my favorite buzzwords, and we're going to try to make it into words. Well, of course, keep some of the buzz. And I work at Winio, where we try to share knowledge around the stuff that the world can't Google and get, the answers that everyone needs. So my company is Winnie Consulting, and we help companies make smarter decisions, through the metaverse, but also through other expertise in areas like smart cities, smart buildings, Internet of Things, automotive industry, smart cities, probably said that, Industry 4.0, and many other areas. And of course, something cool here with time travel and teleportation, which we're going to find out what that is later in this presentation. Um, I've been working as a strategy and innovation advisor for now the last decade, I would say. Background in international management, strategy and innovation, and again, working across different segments because the future is definitely already here, but it's definitely not leveraged. And even though it's already here, it's usually stuck in silos and in verticals. But it's when you look across these domains where you find the answer to everything. Because the reality, unless you did, I mean, maybe you didn't know that, but it's not in slices. That's how people view it. But I think like digital twins and the metaverse, I'm going to talk more about this obviously, but it has this explosive, potent power to heal and mend a broken world. So again, like you can see here, working with industry insights across the real estate sector, but again, like a lot of different areas, and also get a lot of value and information and solutions to some of the stuff that I've been thinking about through the podcast Beyond Buildings, where I interview global leaders across different spaces. Working with a lot of different digital twin projects during the last couple of years. Again, smart heating, distributed digital twins, energy focus, smart buildings, national digital twins, which is really interesting as well, how we can have an innovation platform for actually countries to come together and make smarter decisions faster. In healthcare, 3D printing, autonomous cars, connectivity, construction, real estate sector, and a lot of other things. But today I will talk about, again, like digital twins and the metaverse. So I think, the metaverse, like Shantina said, has been, very popular lately, thanks to Zuckerberg, because of his rebranding to Meta, or their rebranding to Meta from Facebook. But we've been talking about it forever. Well, maybe not forever, but for quite a long time. And there are a lot of companies and a lot of, people out there that have been in the metaverse. Either they known about it, or they know, okay, they realize that when, Zuckerberg was talking about what that actually is. So 99% faster decision making. Example of, what is a digital twin? What are the characteristics? What to think about? We get questions about the metaverse. And we can see here some of the things here are blurry, some are more, clear, and that's exactly how companies view the future. Some of them actually know what they're doing, and maybe also what they want to do, but usually it's really hard for companies to understand, exactly what to do about the future. So we're hoping that this is going to be good for not only companies, but investors, people, and get a better idea of how companies and again, like everyone can leverage these modern tools and technologies. Interoperable reality-focused omniverses. What are the challenges that stand in our way to realize this with the metaverse and digital twins? And again, how can we create the change that is needed across the world? So 99% faster decision making. And what is what is physical twinning? So let's go into that first before we talk about digital twins. So NASA and JPL, so JPL stands for Jet Propulsion Laboratory, they came up with something called extreme collaboration. This was in 1995, where they were planning their space missions. So that usually could take up to 9 months, and it was strange. That's what they thought, at least, when they come up with this idea, because this was their job. Planning space missions. So how could something that they've always have done, almost, take the same amount of time all the time? So, and then they thought, okay, what are the people that we need for this? What is the information that they need in order to make the right decisions? And what would happen if we put the right people with the right information together at the same time and place, and let them work and do this extreme collaboration. So what they saw back then was that they could go from 9 months of planning space missions to merely 9 hours over 3 days. So 3 hours per day for 3 days in 9 hours, they did the same amount of work that they'd done, that took them like 6 to 9 months before. So no digital twins, no AI, no really. I mean, the AI, back then, a computer was a human, maybe not in 95, but that came from NASA, so okay, fair enough. But no digital twins, no AI at the time, just people working together, smart people, obviously, with the right information at the right time. And this was done in 95. So here's a picture of what it looked like. And as you can see on these chairs, they had this, what I was gonna say, circles. What do you call it? The balls underneath that that made them move. Yeah, it's not a fantastic. I'm better to describe in digital twins than the metaverse, fortunately. So basically, what that meant is that if something changed at one screen, everyone huddled up there, to look at, okay, well, how does this affect me in my, domain? So they went there, and then everyone went back to do recalculations, and then we went back to the next one, and they looked at what happened, because if you change something, over here, that usually changes something, somewhere else. And that's usually what takes the most of time to figure this stuff out. And that's when you send emails, you have to wait for a response, someone is sick, etc., etc. But when you have the right people there in the same room, with the right information, then definitely magic can happen. And the magic here is, going from 9 months to 9 hours. So the question is then, with digital twins, this is physical twins. What could we do with digital twins if we can make, decisions 99% faster with physical twinning? How much can we improve this with digital twinning? So before we can, answer that, and it's, beyond, 99%, so maybe we why do we even talk about digital twins? Why do we even talk about the metaverse? When if we just put the people together, in the right place, in the right order, we can solve these problems 99% faster. Well, it's even better if we can do it, much, much faster and copy paste it and make it replicable and reuse the intelligence, etc., etc., etc. So there's definitely a need for digital twins, but let's go into an example from a project that I'm actually running here in Sweden with cognitive buildings and smart heating systems. So what you can see here, so I'm just going to turn up the sound here, is from a asset or a school in Växjö, Sweden. So you can see up here, we have like room name number 6. We get a temperature, 22 degrees, CO2, humidity. We can actually interact with the reality, toggle things on and off. We can look, behind the walls, see, electrical fixtures. We can see structural. We can see ceilings, etc. We can, redecorate this if we want. But here comes the digital twin aspect. We have like the 3D model or digital model of the real world, and that is being fed by real-time data coming from, the asset itself. So that's basically, if you want to like the ultimate basic view of digital twins, is that it's a digital representation of something that exists in reality, fed with data at certain intervals, sometimes called twinning rates, and you feed them into this digital twin. And what I usually say, it has to be something for other systems. So the backend has to be interoperable. You have to, connect through APIs, et cetera, and it has to be also for other people. So I'm explaining this right now so that people can see, and you can engage with it in virtual reality, augmented reality, all these kind of things. And it's also should be something for AI, and these are the partners that we'll be using. So originally, I thought that I just go with the bullet points here, but that's it's not easy to explain what digital twins are. But again, with this in mind, over here to the right, we can see that this is a copy of something that exists in reality. Right? So it's not so much focused about the digital twin platform that makes this possible, because that's just a Xerox machine. What is more important is, what are we copying from reality? And I think that's, one of the big areas right now where, because this is still on the hype cycle, it's still a buzzword, we tend to focus on technology, not so much about what's supposed to be copied. So again, I just want, if you want to take something with you from this presentation, think of digital twins as a copying machine. So the machine, they can find them. I wouldn't say anywhere because they're still, evolving and improving as we speak. But the most important thing is what is it that you want to copy? Was it processes? Where is it based in place and time? Is it does it exist in reality, et cetera, et cetera? So again, digital representation of physical systems, absorbing data, like you can see here with the radiator, where you can absorbing data at different twinning rates. You can combine data from different sources. Here you can see just real-time data coming from temperature sensors. You can see it from actuators. You can have weather data in there. You have to blend them together inside the digital twin so that it makes possible to understand from people perspective, but also for systems. And that together, if you see them as digital threads, right? If you see one of these sensors, one of weather data, all this taking in information or data into the digital twin, like these spider webs, or well, not spider webs, but spider threads, that creates this fabric. So that fabric is something where you combine all these different data sources, where you want to use AI, artificial intelligence, to ask the digital twin questions. What is, let me know what the optimal temperature is based on how many people are in the building right now. Okay. Or let me say, based on, maybe that's not a great example, maybe what is the optimal HVAC settings based on what the weather is going to be like in 2 hours, and what the temperature is right now, and the amount of people that will be there in 3 hours, and what the people are there right now. I mean, it's a complicated thing, but if you have all these different data sources, and you have a digital twin platform that caters to AI, machine learning, physics-based modeling, that's when you can run these predictions and actually, control these buildings or whatever that might be, not even in real time, but from the future. Let's say 2 hours from the future, based on knowing what will happen with that context. And that would allow us, to make these smarter decisions faster. Because this is information that is based in real time. It's not static like we'd see in 95 at NASA JPL. This is dynamic, real-time information. We can, again, also predict something. So we can have, thousands of different digital twins. So there could be a digital twin coming from an heating, ventilation, and air conditioning vendor about their product. There can actually be a digital twin of the temperature sensor, of, mocking the weather data. So it's not so much about one, ultimate digital twin, which you can see here for collaboration purposes, but there's a lot of miniature and, separate digital twins that need to work together. And of course, this needs to be extremely scalable and most of all interoperable. And what that means is that, if you have these different data sources, or you have sensor from one manufacturer, or you have a heating, ventilation, air conditioning unit, or you have a car, or whatever that might be from different manufacturers, they usually tend to, so let's say, talk the different languages, but they need to be able to speak the same language, and they need to be able to understand each other for it to be able to scale. And again, you have to, or you want to, transfer information and knowledge for people, for systems, as well as AI, and also in between them irrespectively. So that's, I can talk about digital twins, forever. But let's go into the metaverse. And, we have some questions about the metaverse. So why the metaverse and what is happening? So I think, again, the metaverse is, it's related to digital twins, but I'm going to show some videos as well, just showing a little bit, what it can be and the different levels of, how and where the metaverse interacts. So just for metaverse projects, sold 106 million in virtual land last week, with the sandbox taking a massive lead, and you have Decentraland and all other projects where, again, if I don't know if you might have listened or watched the announcement from Zuckerberg, where it's more of a separation from reality, where you can do virtual collaboration, and it's a little bit it's separated. It is a virtual world. We can be infinite realities, so to say, but it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the reality that we live in, except that people engage in these realities. But also, popularized through fiction. I think it was Snow Crash, and then you had Ready Player One, which is one of my favorite movies, definitely. Where you also you have this. Again, you put on your virtual reality goggles, which you can see here. This guy in the movie, he's got a treadmill, so he can basically be anywhere and everywhere at the same time. And what he's choosing is to be in the metaverse, so to say, where he's, you can choose your planet, you can be on Planet Oasis, you can do all these kind of things depending on what you want to do. So this is, interesting on its own, that you can have separate realities, and if you want to, you can spend your your whole entire life, in your house, and then just be in the metaverse and you're being fed by something else. But that's another story. So the seven layers of the metaverse here from John Radoff, which I really like, is that you have infrastructure. So, you have to have something that enables the metaverse to take place. You have some kind of human interface, mobile smart glasses that we're going to see, what is it, Apple announced that they're going to release, I think it was 2023, and now it's the end of 2021, so 1.5 year, these smart glasses that Google tried to do, I think it was, I don't know, 5 to 6 years ago. It didn't really take off. Well, it did take off because people took them off, but not more than that. We have wearables, you have haptic, you have, these full body suits, again, like in Ready Player One, where if you wear this and you're being shot, in playing Call of Duty or something in the metaverse, whatever that might be, you actually feel it. Hopefully not as, like you're getting shot, but you get like the haptic feedback with, gloves, etc., etc. So very, very soon, with the advent of 5G, 6G, and the roadmap to holographic societies, we can truly be anywhere and everywhere at any given point in time. But here, when we're talking about the metaverse, usually, and again, like we're going to talk about that as well, but usually it's more about a separate reality and not so much tied to the reality that we live in today. And then you have spatial computing and 3D engines like Unity, Unreal, and several others, where you, again, engage with that through virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, blended reality, and you possibly could also, again, tailor it or tweak it or tie it to the reality that we live in. You have a creator economy. So if you enable this metaverse, let's say if there is one game or multiple games, you have, you can invite different creators into that space where they can create these NFTs, non-fungible tokens. This is not a topic of this webinar, unfortunately, but that's something that is really interesting and very tied to the metaverse. You have discovery, ad networks, social creation, also related a little bit to Web 3.0 and the decentralized, approaches and DAOs. You have, of course, experience. You can experience whatever it is that you want to like, whatever it is that you want to experience, whatever it is that you like, and play games, social, esports, go shopping, do all these kind of things in different metaverses. But so my take on this is this an escape from reality for the most part? And then, what I mean is it any good? Does that provide any value to the real world? Maybe. Of course, or maybe from an individual perspective, or can it be used as a mechanism to improve reality? Can we combine, and how do we combine these things as, mixed reality, augmented reality, and virtual world technologies to engage with this better? Are we there yet? And of course, how, if this is the case, that you need an access, level of, some kind of digital technology, what about the people that are in 2G, 3G mode and not like 5G, 6G? How would they interact with the metaverse? Is it, creating, the knowledge about the future so they can interact with it and plan for the future? What would that look like? And again, what is it good for? So I have 3 examples here. So one is, again, here with Blocktopia, which is a blockchain crypto initiative. I think this is based on Unity, but as far as I know, they might switch to Unreal Engine, in that you can be here. This is, in-game footage. So you walk into this game in virtual reality. So you're there. You can, talk to other people. You can win a Lamborghini. You can, watch stuff. You can trade in crypto. You can do a lot of these things that is, virtually impossible in the real world, but it's made possible through the metaverse. So it's a completely, separate reality. We can do a lot of cool things, and they have a lot of promos, socialize with friends, etc., etc., etc. So again, this is blockchain, crypto, NFT generation. You can buy land here. You can advertise. So if you look at this, the 7 layers, again, like games, esports, ad networks, design tools, virtual reality, and possibly even you use augmented reality at some point. I don't know if they tie it back to reality. But then you also have initiatives, which we are right now, which is a bit uncanny. So maybe you've seen either the new Matrix release that was happened right now from Unreal Engine, and this is something called MetaHumans for the Unreal Engine 5, where you can see this these people, and they're not real, right? So we come to a stage right now, end of 2021, where we have this level of fidelity of people when it starts to become, is this real or is this unreal, right? So it's pretty interesting. And this, of course, is not, this is part of, I think, like the creator economy over here, where you have like design tools, you can, do these kind of things, and maybe, yeah, someone is, an expert to designing avatars for your favorite game or whatever that might be. And of course, when we maybe, if you're thinking outside the box here a little bit, but if we have this there, everyone has smart glasses, and then I have my own skin, where people, view me through those glasses, I look like a totally different person. And if anyone is interested in knowing more about that, I had a chat about this. I'm sorry I had to hack your eyes for my podcast, but that is also something that is going on. And as you could see, it looks really, unreal. But then you have also this from Unreal Engine, where you have Vows, which is I think they're from Singapore. Singapore, exactly. So basically what they have done, and my company is also involved in this airport projects, not only for the digital twin aspect, but also for change management, because this is interesting. This is what I find maybe the most interesting part, where you actually have something tied to reality. So here they're taking, let's see if we can just speed up a little bit, an airport, Changi Airport, and they've taken that into, let's say, the gaming engine, the game world, right? They're utilizing these, methodologies, the frameworks, open source, and to get this done and the scripting, to also to connect it to, again, the real world. So I think like these applications, if you look, what is it good for, is where you can really, really do, I wouldn't say damage, but, create value in the real world by using digital twins as well as the metaverse and creating new economies on top of this. Because most companies, they're interested in 3 things: save money, make more money, and create new revenue streams. And of course, don't be obsolete, right? But actually thrive and survive. But if you do this, combining digital twins, again, connected, something based in reality with digital space, and as well as the metaverse, you can actually cater a lot to saving money, making more money, and creating new revenue streams. So that's what we specialize in at Winio. And I think this is super interesting because, again, this is where the combination of these things can really, 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 really do cool stuff. Maybe I said really a bit too much there, but that's how excited I am. And what happens then beyond the metaverse? What are the challenges? So I'm going to go into this a little bit later as well, but what are the challenges, with interoperability specifically? And what does that mean when we talk about the context of the metaverse? So if we look at the metaverse and we'll see that, okay, maybe this was Blocktopia, this was, the airport, this was, Industry 4.0, or these were like the smart buildings that I showed earlier. You have separate metaverses, which have their own rules, tokenomics, whatever regulations, how they operate, how they work, which is very, very specific and very narrow. And that is not always fantastic, because that could lead to a 1,000 cuts problem. Because if you have own an NFT in one game, let's say, but you want to transfer that to another game, or you want to sell that, or you want to move your Lamborghini or whatever it might be to another, program, you're probably not, you can't do that today because it's very, stuck in that metaverse. So you have different verticals. So again, and they might not be interoperable, as in they might not be able to work together. And you also have like these similar horizontal metaverses, but they might not necessarily be able to work together anyway. So that might be that you need a multiverse. So as you can see here, this is, a cluster of similar metaverses. So let's say you have, I don't know, Need for Speed, you have GTA, you have something else, where they share, the car economy, let's say. So maybe that's the case, right? So you can actually sell a car and make transactions, buying a car, selling a car through different metaverses. And that is, I would say, like an industry-specific multiverse. And then you have omniverses. So that, beyond the metaverse, where you have the combination where the rules and regulations, all this kind of stuff, you can transfer information seamlessly between not only similar metaverses, but also through, multiverses at will. And we're definitely not here yet. And again, like we go back to the real world, so to say, this is one of the biggest problems where we can't really transfer knowledge because vendors and systems, they love to lock people into their specific reality. So you're forced to use their tools forever. But the combination of the metaverse, digital twins, Web 3.0, decentralized everything, we see really, really interesting things happening. And this, metaverse, multiverse, and omniverse, that was written by Theo Priestley, who is a legend when it comes to the metaverse. So I really recommend that you look into what he's been writing as well. So again, how does this again tie into reality? That's what I've been alluding to a little bit, because that's where I see the value is when you combine digital twins for good. When you combine the metaverse and improving reality, and you put these things together. And I think that's where we can unlock a lot of the value that exists today in fragmented data sources. You bring them together and you can create, go from data to information, from information to insight, insight to action, and from action to impact, because that's what we need. And we have the now, we have the future. We know that hopefully we know that there will be a future in the next 20 to 30 years, or maybe even 100 years. But how do we meet that future? What does the transition period look like? And what do we need to do? So it's mostly about technology adoption and business model innovation. That's what it's all about. And we got companies and people outside the industry. We got existing industries. We got education for the industry. And somewhere along here, we need to use more modern tools to solve ancient problems. And there are barriers between these, the people outside the industry, existing industries, and how you educate for them. And outside the industry, for the most part, if we're talking about cutting edge technology, they don't know how to sell. They want to collaborate and add value, but they have a low level of industry understanding, mostly focused on technology, mainly talks to other tech vendors, if that. And existing industries, of course, they don't know how to buy, right? It's not about technology, it's about their existing systems, the processes, the roles, the people, as well as the systems that are not really catered to absorbing new things, because, that's really, really hard. Talk about others, not with others. Very, very siloed ways of working. Low level digitalization still for most big organizations, I would say. IT and digitalization sees as a utility, not an enabler to solve problems. And if we look at education, how people, educate, universities, schools, whatever that might be, usually very far away from what is happening at the cutting edge, at least, traditional universities. We have, of course, MOOCs. So we have Coursera and these kind of things. And that's sort of like the premise and promise, I think, with 10.9 and Techagon, why I love this so much, is that you want to spread knowledge. Not just the knowledge that was there, 20, 30 years ago, but actually cutting edge knowledge, because again, education is far away from happening. And if we teach people old ways of working, and if they hit, come out to the job market with old technology, they're going to perpetuate obsolete mindsets. And that's definitely not something that we want to do at this day and age. So increasing gap between, what is being taught, what is being done, and even more so what will be done. And we're using the same tools for learning. I don't see that many universities, using virtual reality, mixed reality, blended reality. I've even been in discussions with schools here in Sweden where they say, okay, we're going to ban all mobile phones. We have to have this knowledge king or queen right there in front of the people and just to educate them. And that's not necessarily a futuristic way of interacting with people or even the future. So if we go back to the people and the companies outside the industry, they need closer collaboration to the ones in the existing industries. We need to transfer knowledge faster. We need to solve the skill shortage gap that exists in most traditional industries, which means that the ones that know a lot about an industry, they are getting into retirement, or they don't want to work anymore. So there's a skill shortage gap basically everywhere. And there's disruptive forces crossing the chasm, where the chasm is this where cutting edge technology needs to reach a mainstream level adoption. And that's they need closer collaboration with people inside the industry to actually know, okay, are these problems that someone wants to solve? Do they have the means to solve it? Or is this just some idea that we came up with? And what we need from the future is, of course, increased transparency. And that is an outcome, a direct outcome, hopefully, if done right, when you reach an increase in digital maturity. So if we leverage technology, and again, like that's what we see here, in the future, we are really, really good at leveraging technology. Okay, and that's how it's been, forever, to be honest. Okay, because that's what people are really, really good at, using tools to solve problems. We've gotten stuck a little bit now, and again, like the processes, and why are we doing this? I see complete total industries where everyone is working in silos, and they don't even know why they're doing it. They're just doing stuff because that's what they always have done. But if we can realize that these buzzword bingo, like Metaverse or Digital Twins, that is the same that smartphones was back in the day. We had a phone. I could play Snake, or these Nokia phones, Ericsson, BlackBerry. They were competing, but when smartphones said, forget about that, right? That's what what it was like in the beginning. It's the same with Digital Twins, the same with the Metaverse, same with blockchain, crypto, etc. But these will be mainstream at some point, and we have to understand that they're just tools and technologies that we can use to get the job done. So, and if we also look from education, from industry, we need these platforms that can be a springboard for professionals, for investors, for people who wants to get to the future as fast as possible, who wants to accelerate this transition, and again, make more money, save money, and create new revenue streams, of course, for themselves, but also, to stimulate these economies that need it the most, to be honest. So for that to happen, we need a mindset shift. We, again, need closer collaboration. We need knowledge transfer to happen much, much better and utilizing new technologies. We need not just professional bureaucracies, with most universities are, where you have, again, like these kings and queens that they rule supreme over their domain expertise, but you actually need more collaboration. So work the same way that you always have done, but collaborate in a different way where you actually share knowledge. Because I think that's when we can reach a future where we have more sustainability. We have, again, the transparency using the modern tools, and we need that sustainable thing because there's no business to be done on a dead planet. And collaboration arena, that's what I think, or what I do know, that digital twins combined with the metaverse, that is what they are. If you take something from reality, you can invite to innovate on a global landscape. That's when you get things to happen. But before that needs to happen, you have to have a mindset shift, because otherwise, again, if you're stuck with it like IT, it's just an utility. We don't see that as an enabler. A lot of these things won't happen. And, well, it will happen, but not from the existing companies, because they're too slow, they don't have the mindset, and they don't know how to get this done. So we need closer collaboration, and as you could see, or as you could hear, what NASA did in 1995, where you put the right people together with the right information in a physical room, that is now possible at a global landscape, right? Because you can invite anyone to innovate with you, with your reality, at any given point in time, and make it understandable. So that also, enforces or expedites, improves, accelerates knowledge transfer between different domains, and as well as different generations. Because remember, we also have a skill shortage gap where we need to transfer knowledge from the ones that know about this to the ones that want to know about this. And that will solve the skill shortage gap. And avoiding the abyss is a play in words with this crossing the chasm, because companies have usually an expiration date, especially if they don't innovate. So avoiding the abyss is basically abyss of oblivion where no one really remembers them. Kodak moment, so to say, that where they said that there's no reason, we're doing business as usual, and then they went into bankruptcy. And that's going to happen for so many companies as well as people if you don't stay ahead of the times. And of course, that's why 10.9 and the Techagon platform, that's why we're here. Okay, to do this, to share the knowledge that is needed to accelerate change in the world. So it's definitely time to wake up. And this is the last slide. So I hope you stayed with me until this point. What value can these categories explore in the metaverse and in the digital twin space? How can this be? And I've talked about it a lot now, and I tried to make that happen, first with the example of digital twins, what a metaverse is for, what it could be for, and then that the world as it is right now is, imagine that you're trying to run somewhere, but the terrain is quicksand. And underneath that quicksand are, old people, old people, structure, systems that are trying to keep you down. That's how hard it is today to create change, because it's not, technology. Technology exists. It's all these, again, like the existing stuff, the quicksand that exists in these existing industries that needs to be loosened up so that we get to the future that we need. So in terms of investors, why would you invest in the digital twins? Why would you invest in the metaverse? Because it's all about the future. We can have we have the economy that we have today, which is based on, barter economy on the real world. But what we see, and again, what we could see with this, Blocktopia and, all this kind of stuff with the metaverse, it's going to create not only one new economy in one metaverse, but across multiverses and omniverses. So if you think, let's say 5% of the economy is going to be created in the real world, and maybe 95% is going to be created in these virtual spaces. So if you're not there, you're missing out on a lot of money, on a lot of transactions, and you need to be there. Buy land, maybe that for 1 to 2 years, maybe that's going to be applicable. Who knows? But you definitely need to be part of the discussion and understand these things. So that's, again, why Techagon and 10 is here to help out with sharing knowledge across these topics. And for entrepreneurs, and it's again, maybe you want to create, a real company, here like a lemonade stand. There was a good example that I heard the other day. And then during COVID, they transitioned into the metaverse, right? So they had lemonade stands, but then they transitioned into virtual lemonade stands. And that's where, you could actually, maybe drink lemonade, but also engage through other people, musicians, et cetera, to provide these concerts that you could, have there, then and there. So you can experience similar things that you almost maybe even couldn't do in the real world, but you can do that from the premise of your home and engage with these massive economies and really, really interesting things. So for entrepreneurs, start your company in the real world, maybe start in the metaverse as well. Professionals, I think this is one of the most important topics, both existing in terms of reskilling, upskilling, and the people new to the market, again, take part of this virtual economy that would allow you to create a product at one spot and then replicate it across the world much, much faster. So, and that, from a sustainability perspective might also be even better, because then, you can sell it in NFTs. So NFTs, of course, synonymous a little bit, unfortunately, with, energy, I wouldn't say savings, but a lot of energy being, used to create the NFTs. And of course, that is the case. But, if you compare that to creating a product in real life where you have to source the product, transfer it across the world, and then maybe send it back, all these kind of things, there is also, something like a beautiful thing about the metaverse where you can have this gig economy reach global dimensions very, very fast, right? So for professionals to be educated, I wouldn't say re-educated, but evolve your education into understanding digital twins and the metaverse, really, really important. And not only just fantasize about it, but actually understand how to implement digital twins. How to implement digital twins. Sorry, I'm running out of speed here. And also the metaverse. So I think that's again, why this is important. And it's time to wake up, because we need to create this change that is needed, make 99% faster decision making across any sector to reach this future where we have added transparency, where we can use modern tools to get the job done and reach this more sustainable world. And I do think that metaverse and digital twins have its place in the future, even more so than most other things combined. And again, remember that the future is already here, and that it's our job at Winio to distribute it to the ones that need it the most. Thank you so much.